It's still winter, but somehow spring is busting out all over. Hi, I'm Mark, and this is Subliteral Network. I make art and comics, and thanks for watching. Remember to hit like and subscribe and to leave your feedback in the comments. Now, I post art daily 5 days a week on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and this is a roundup of that work in case you missed it, with a little more detailed description added. You can read my Una the Cave Bunny comics free at radiocomics.com, and please visit my Patreon page if you'd like to support my work. All these links are in my description and bio, and please watch till the end so you don't miss anything. My very thick Sharpie Amazon, which was one of those drawings I started out without pencil work underneath it. So I started drawing her head, and then I'm drawing her neck, and then I'm drawing her arm, and I said, this is kind of coming out okay. I think I'll stop, guessing in ink, and just put it aside and come back later with pencil and really just kind of work the drawing out in a more correctable fashion, starting with pencil. Anyway, I love her, and she just has to come back in another drawing. When I do these Amazon drawings, I always think of them as not as like necessarily pin-up models, but just what would it really be like if women were picking up swords and engaging in like these battles? They might look a little worn down or just kind of big and solid rather than ripped, in Arnold Schwarzenegger style. So I try to, as natural as I can make a fantastic subject look, I like to do that with these Amazons. Like maybe they've been fighting for a couple of days or something, and they're a little tired, or they're leaning against their spears, trying to just hold themselves up after kind of being exhausted and maybe injured. I find thinking about the subject like that it really helps me to get a more believable kind of idea in the drawing going. And this girl happens to be just huge and solid, and I think that when you look back, in the past, I think it's a lot more likely that like barbarians and warriors would put on a lot of muscle mass rather than going for the sculpted bodybuilder look. That mass gives you the strength to overcome the enemy in front of you, and your weight is what gives you the advantage, not whether your muscles are cut and oiled. One thing I always intended with a lot of these Sharpie drawings that I did was, I scanned them, I cleaned them up, and I saved them because I wanted to do my digital coloring on it to practice and just try to see what I could get out of them. So I got dozens of these Sharpie drawings, and this is one that I managed to color up in Sketchbook Pro. So I'm trying to get different kind of lighting schemes mostly, and color balances in it. So I wanted to just get light that's coming from a direction that you don't normally see. Not so much cartoon or comic book style lighting, but maybe more of a painterly or natural look to the feeling of the light, the atmosphere. I was always really envious of some of the other kids in art school who were just fantastic painters. They would do that thing, that Monet thing, like you see in the background here, where you put this grass down, and then you put these cool color flowers on the top of it. I love that, and I practice in doing work in Sketchbook Pro, like painting. It allowed me to kind of practice doing some of those effects that I really like in other people's paintings. But art school is kind of a funny place too, because I was coming in there from kind of a background of comic books and science fiction and fantasy. So we'd have our painting classes. And there was this girl who was really good at watercolors, and she was really focused on being a very good watercolorist. So I would come in there and do these watercolor flowers. And she would go nuts. She was like, how do you do that? And I was just like, I don't know. I just do it. And I think one of the funny things about doing art is that there's always somebody else who things come really easily to. And you look and you go, how the hell do they do that? And you can never really equal what another artist is doing. But I feel like the best way to do that is just to approach it from the way that you really think, while incorporating what you're learning from other people. And that's just about the only way you're going to get the best results. Like, you're not going to get somebody else's results. You're going to get your own results. And that's hard to take sometimes, because sometimes you want somebody else's results. But like I said, it's just something you got to get over. I saved the cardboard from these like gourmet cookies I used to buy, and I thought they'd be kind of nice to draw on. So I tried drawing on it in pencil, and pencil just wouldn't show up on it all, not even at all, not even the softest pencil. So what I did was I just started doing these Sharpie drawings, which it took Sharpie beautifully. So I would start doing these drawings and just very carefully thinking about each line and composing until I got what I wanted at the end of it. You know, a lot of people draw directly in ink, and some of them they just do it so well and just so naturally. But I don't do that. I have a real painstaking way of doing it, because I don't feel like screwing it up. So I'm going slowly, I'm measuring things, and I'm just trying to make this drawing. It's kind of fun. I wouldn't want to do it every day all the time, but it kind of sharpens you up and makes you think about your drawing, because I had to think about every step. I wasn't just making meaningless lines. Every line I knew was going to be there forever. So I really took my time, and some of them came out really bad. But this one I kind of liked because it came out okay. This is Una the Cave Bunny drawn in ink and Sharpie on cardstock as a promotional drawing. And what happens a lot, like, see how big her head is? I used to draw Una really like this, really sort of shrunken and stocky for cartoon purposes. I was trying to make sure I could always fit her in the frame, and I felt it was definitely easier as long as I had the proportions worked out. But I really felt it was better to have her kind of a scrunched down figure. It just made the comic book look more like what I wanted it to. At the time, I was really studying the Archie Sonic comics, which, I don't know, some people like Sonic, sometimes they don't. It's a really kind of a close-knit fandom. But those comics they've got the best cartoon art being done today. I swear to God, they really do. They're really well drawn. And I think that gets overlooked for some reason, maybe because the fandoms are so distinct. It never breaks out of the Sonic bubble. I don't know, but you should know that I really love those Sonic comics. And when I was doing Una, I said, I want to make it look as good as those comics, which is something I don't think I ever achieved, but I was always searching for that. They just had expert pencil and ink work. And I thought the writing was really good too. It went beyond the game, which some people liked and some didn't. But I really hold those comics really in very high regard. I was taking watercolor and trying to do, I guess I wouldn't really call this a painting or an illustration. I would call it actually more like a study. Because what I was really trying to do was to learn to paint skin in a more realistic and solid way with watercolor. You know, the wolves are a little cartoony, and I guess that's part of what I wasn't really focusing on so much. It was just more a way to try to get certain effects, a sense of depth, and a sense of a more realistic anatomy with watercolor. So there's also that ink outline, which just helped me to hold things together while I was focusing on the paint, so I didn't have to worry about other aspects of painting other than just the rendering, which, you know, puts it in the study category and not necessarily not a better thought out piece of art than what it was intended to be. So I kind of accomplished my goals with it. I really liked the way her skin came out. I really liked the way I was able to get some depth by putting the darkest and lightest tones on the figures in the middle and letting everything else kind of gray out or get a little less contrasty in the back and in the closer foreground. So I mean, the purpose of a study is to not necessarily get a great looking picture, at least for me, but it is to work out problems and to try to achieve effects so that you can repeat them later when you need them.